We're here at the Marquee Theater in Denver, and we're sitting here with Havok, the thrash metal band out of Colorado, with Dave Sanchez, guitarist, Jesse De Los Santos
bass player
on bass, and Pete Weber on drums.
Yep.
Dave, you formed a band in 2004.
Yes.
And released a couple demos and an EP, and then got signed to Candlelight.
Yes.
How did that come to life?
Sending out demos and press kits to all the labels, and Candlelight got back to us. So it came about from sending demos and stuff to all the labels, and Candlelight was the first label to get back to us. And then another label hit us up soon after that, and we kind of started a bidding war of some kind, and eventually ended up with Candlelight.
Now Jesse is the only member left.
Yes, that's correct. Only member.
That was on Burn. How hard is it? How did you get in contact with Dave to play in Havok?
I used to play in an old thrash band that sucked really bad back in the day, and we played a couple shows with them.
Also Colorado based?
Yeah, it was out in Fort Collins, and then that's just how we met up and kept in contact. And then like in 2009, right? Yeah. He just hit me up and asked if I would play bass with him, and said hell yeah.
Now, how hard is it to A, keep musicians, and B, them being able to tour?
Well, to find the right combination of cool dude, able to play music well, able to tour, and all of the above is really hard to find on three other people. So that's why the lineup's been changing over and over. But the lineup we have now is pretty solid, and I don't see anybody going anywhere anytime soon.
Now Reece Pete. Well, Reece also. Reece and Pete both came into the fold when you were recording "Time Is Up." How did you dig up Pete?
Well, I was in a band from Boston called Ravage, and I was looking for something just a little better opportunity to get into, and I saw a Craigslist ad for Havok, and Dave sent me a couple song demos, and I videotaped them and sent them over, and it went well.
Did you also relocate to Colorado?
Yeah, I did.
And did you play the drums on the album?
I did, yep. Time Is Up, yep.
There you go. And Dave, with the new album, really have to say, really like it, reviewed it, and the bass is heavy in the mix, which you really don't hear that often. And compared to your last album, the drums are like 10 times better. I mean,
right.
No clue who drummed on the first album,
right?
But on this album, the drums 10 times better.
Right.
In your opinion, what is the major difference between the album "Time Is Up," that is, by the way, released March 29th, also again with Candlelight?
Yes.
And "Burn"? What's the major difference?
I think the major difference was just progressively getting better at songwriting. Really, I mean,
are you the sole songwriter?
For the most part, yes, but I mean, Jesse helps a lot and wrote a lot of the riffs on the album, and for the most part, everything was written before Pete joined the band, but he also had a lot to do with the details and the fills and working out arrangements and stuff like that. But so I think the other musicians have a lot to do with the end result, but the album being better is just a natural progression, I think, from where we were.
How was it different this time as far as mixing, mastering, producing? Was there a difference between this one and Burn?
Well, it was produced in my basement, just like the last album, and but it was mixed by Pete Ruccio, who also did Revocation's album and the new Bury Your Dead, and from there it went off to James Murphy, and he mastered it. But so, I mean, the personnel as far as engineering and everything on the album was a little bit different, but both were produced in my house.
Very nice. What is your favorite song on the album, on the new album?
Ooh. I literally can't pick one. I like all the songs on it, so I don't know, but
I feel the same way, but I could say Prepare for Attack is a good one. Scumbag. is a good one.
These are my two favorite
Um,
also.
Yeah, Out of My Way is pretty good.
I'd say my favorite is No Amnesty, for sure. Favorite, just like we like to eat some pizza.
You can leave it
Prisa.
with Pete. Any advice to younger bands that want to start out or younger musicians that do want to join a band? What kind of advice would you have for them?
I mean, just practice. I mean, that's the only way you can get better at anything, and that's what I tell people all the time. That's because that's what I did. I mean, I took lessons for 15 years and did all kinds of other stuff, and just keep at it, and that's the only way you can get better at it. So.
I could say there's a lot of ups and downs, but just keep working at it and work your ass off, and it'll pay off in the long run, hopefully.
What
Any
they
ad-
said.
Any advice to new bands? What should they put their focus on? Songwriting, or should they look for a booking agent, for a label? What helped you the most to get where you are now?
I think at the end of the day, it all comes back to good songs. I mean, you could get a booking agent and a manager and all the other shit, but without good songs, nobody wants to listen to your band. So, I think that's what the focus needs to start with. But then after that, I think it's not a bad idea to look into touring and playing as many local shows as you can once you guys have a base starting point, original songs, and get all your friends to come out. That's how we started.
Speaking of touring, I mean, you guys toured relentlessly. I mean, every tour, it's like, oh my God, there's Havok again.
Yep.
When do you find time to write?
Well, this whole new album kind of writing took place right after the Burn album was recorded. I was already kind of demoing new songs and stuff like that. So even though they're all new on the album, some of those songs and riffs are like a year and a half old. So, I mean, it was a long writing process, but I'd rather do that than have to sit down and like try to cram everything into 2 months. I'd rather write a good song every, 6 weeks or something.
Now, thrash metal, I mean, definitely not, the newest genre. What made you decide to become another retro thrash band with so many out there already?
Because I like riffs, and that's all thrash metal is really fast riffs.
Your musical heroes?
Musical heroes.
Other than Megadeth?
James Hetfield, Eric Peterson, Dave Mustaine, obviously. I don't know. I like a lot of different stuff, but mostly influenced by the old good heavy metal bands and classic rock bands that have sweet guitar.
How about you, Jesse?
Well, same with David, Metallica, Slayer, all that stuff, but I'm sure you already know I like jazz, Victor Wooten, anything like that is awesome in my book.
Yeah, I mean, as far as metal, I mean, I got into like Sepultura and Pantera when I was younger, and those drummers were like my forefathers for what I do now, and just getting my footwork good and practicing what they do.
Do you use triggers?
No, we don't use triggers, but I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but we don't really need to, so you get a good sound guy, you can get good sound out of bass drums, so.
Right.
But yeah, and then I mean, I was in jazz band all through high school, and my drum lesson teacher used to teach me like Latin and Afro-Cuban stuff, so I get influences from everywhere.
Cool. What's next? You guys have a CD release party on I want to say it's on the 29th, might be on the 28th at Moe's in Denver.
It's on the 26th. Jeez, do your research. Oh my God. No, March 26th, we're going to do a CD release show at Moe's Barbecue.
And the album is released March 29th.
The album comes out the 29th, but everyone could get their copy 3 days early at that show.
And what touring wise after that?
We started talking, I don't know, we're not totally sure what we're going to be doing, but We should be going out in April, May, June, July, August, September, all year. Should be gone all year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.